Hello. Hello. Connecting to. Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay now, but I had a panic attack like about an hour ago.
All right.
After-
I'm recording. You want to stop recording?
No, it's okay. Let's make it public. Let's give people the real thing.
Well, I'll record it, and let's just talk, and then at the end you can decide whether you want me to post it or not.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Sounds
Oh, cool. What was your panic attack around? Anything specific?
well, we finish lunch or brunch or breakfast, whatever you want to call it, and we supposed to go to the to the market. There's a market, the organic market in the park, a few blocks from here. It's a nice park. I was excited of going. And then somebody called my wife for an interview about, I don't really know about what, but she decided to take the
job interview.
Yes, no, some statistics, I guess, about retirement and all that stuff, or maybe no, maybe something similar. So I thought, okay, this is gonna take about 15, 20 more minutes. So I sat on the piano and I started playing an Irish traditional song that I like. And then the room started spinning. The piano got the whole thing. I started feeling horrible.
Were you on any substances, or were you sober?
No, I don't take anything.
Yeah.
I don't take medications. I don't take drugs of any sort. I only drink beer at night.
Was it anxiety about our talk today?
No, I don't think so. I was excited about this talk today. I don't know what it was really.
Do you have panic attacks as usual, or is it something that's never happened? Or
well, yeah, the panic came basically by feeling dizzy or feeling confused, not knowing what's going on, and then you get in panic mode.
Okay.
So I started reading. I stopped playing at some point. I tried to play the melody again, and I couldn't really coordinate my thoughts with playing. I mean, to play music, I need to be free of thoughts. If something is disturbing me, I can play. So I stopped playing and I started walking around the living room and breathing. I went to the yard. I went outside. I read. It was under control. I didn't pass out or anything. But
how long did it last?
It lasts long, like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 minutes. But then I was in shock. And I started feeling like slow, like my movements were like slow. And I was like in Tai Chi mode, like doing everything to not get dizzy again. So whatever movement I was trying to perform was very slow, very cautious.
Was it perceived as slow, or was it in actuality slow?
No, there was in actuality, it was deliberately slow in order to not get dizzy.
Has this happened before? Has this happened before?
Yeah, it happened often to me that you know, when it happened, mostly when I'm very happy and excited. All of a sudden something get twisted and I get into this crazy mood. It's like something in me is like impeded me to enjoy my ecstasy of happiness. It's funny, but that's what happened. But then when I go to therapy, I'm always laughing of myself. it's like I feel like, okay, I went over all that shit, panic attack, vertigo, irrational fears, nightmares, insomnia, a lot of shit. And sooner or later, I wind up laughing and feeling strong that I went through all that shit, and I think that never going to happen again. But that's not true. It keep happening, and I think it's part of human nature. Well, most people.
So it's scary at the time, but then afterwards you're able to laugh at it,
right? It's
or laugh about it.
It's like a roller coaster that you go and you shit in your pants, but then you laugh and you couldn't believe that you went through all those loops and
you think and you feel stronger afterwards.
Well, right now I don't feel stronger. I feel myself again.
Okay.
But the problem is that I don't feel myself. I feel like a bunch of things going on, and I don't have this feeling of myself that I usually have.
Do you ever do like a mantra or something? Because sometimes I like count to 10 over and over again. It's like just sort of, yeah, I say 1, 2, 3, like in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just sort of like focus me, or like,
right. Oh, you go through these things sometimes?
Probably not it's not a real panic attack, but when I'm feeling disoriented and I don't feel like, a lot of times it's when I'm doing something I don't want to do, like working at work, or I'm somewhere I don't want to be. And I just feel this emptiness because I'm doing this for somebody else, or that just life requires it, that I go to work. Life requires that I go on the subway in the morning and be around all these people where I'd rather be at home in bed or something.
I totally understand that.
I just want to shut out, what I would rather do, which is like be home and, just putter around the house or just be in bed, and I don't want to do any of these things. So to shut out that I don't want to be here, I just have a mantra where I just shut out that.
It makes total sense. It's like, remember in The Sopranos when the kid, Tony Soprano and his wife want to send the kid to the army, to military school, and the kid don't want to go, and he doesn't even want to try the uniform, and then he collapses. He gets in panic and he collapses. It's something that we don't want to do. So maybe I didn't want to go to the fucking market. I don't know.
Yeah. How long ago did this happen? Today?
It happened how long ago?
Today, yeah.
Well, it happened about an hour ago.
Okay.
More or less an hour. And then my wife knows very well these things.
Okay.
So I went to the yard and I started washing we have 2 turtles in big fish tank. So I started washing the turtle tank with a hose and try to calm down. And then I realized that I was still in shock.
So are you working these days? Because sometimes having too much free time can be a little disorienting.
Right. Well, I'm not working as I would like to, but I'm enjoying doing stuff around the house with my wife, making plans on painting the kitchen or things like that.
Right. I always think working is when I'm working for someone else, either for a job to pay the rent, or like even doing things for, other people, rather than, I don't really call the work I do for myself work so much. Work is always doing something for someone else, but ultimately it's for the greater good, even though immediately I probably don't want to be doing it, but I realize that it's good for me in the long run. Like exercise, I can't stand exercising, but I just, in the short term, I'm like, why am I doing this? But if I think about the long term, it's probably a good thing for me to do. But
No, I don't think I'm doing. I think the first time I get in panic, I remember.
You don't think it's too much free time?
No, no, I'm responsible for my time. I need to have all the time of the world to create my work, and I'm still looking for recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't give up. I just made 60,
Mm-hmm.
and I still want to make it. I still have ideas all the time to make art. I keep making art, music, producing. I don't care about other things.
Well,
Like
who? I don't either. It's just, you
I'm
know,
still obsessed
being
with my
married
work.
and like being married and not living alone.
Right.
You know, I have to do things I don't want to do. But I mean, who is getting recognized in the art world and why at this point?
Right. Well, I need to feel that what I'm doing is a job. It's my profession, and it's what I
Right.
did all my life. How can I possibly change now? And what I'm gonna do? I wouldn't know what to do if I have to stop.
Right. I'm not saying that you have to stop
Right.
or that you have to do anything but just your work. If I had my druthers, I'd just do what interests me artistically, films and music. And you know, if I had my druthers, I'd do that. And I do both. You know, sometimes it complements itself, like having to go to a horrible job every day sometimes
Right.
inspires the best verse from me for lyrics for a song, because I'm up against something that's causing me to be angry about something or feel strongly about something and have resistance, and that might inspire an idea. When I'm kind of too comfortable, I might get less inspired, because a lot of times my ideas come from when I'm butting up against an idea or something. But I would even find, I think, because sometimes I get inspired by what I'm seeing on YouTube and trying to process certain things when new information comes in, and that can inspire me to make stuff. But you were saying that you want to be recognized still, like for the outside world. I'm just wondering,
Well,
you know, who's being recognized these days and why? Do you know if there's anyone being recognized these days and why?
well, any artist that have a contract with a gallery is recognized, right?
Yeah.
Any artist you see in an art fair has that recognition.
And
Or any
why would a gallery sign an artist? Do they think that investors, well, not investors, but collectors would want to collect them? And why do collectors collect? Or is that the ultimate audience, the collector? Is that the ultimate audience we're trying to or customer we're trying to serve? And is it idiosyncratic, their choices of what their art is, or do they collect certain themes? And I don't know. Don't you have to know what the market demands in order to be recognized? And isn't that antithetical to creating art that's meaningful to you personally?
I don't think the market is predictable as the real estate or Wall Street or whatever product, because art is not a product. So since it's something totally subjective, the marketing of art is also subjective.
Mhm.
Actually, I know perfectly that at this point that it's all about the good luck, your personal good luck that you carry with yourself, but it's in your blood, it's in your bones. And there's no strategy, no workshop you can take to learn how to sell art. There's no such a thing as to learn to sell art. Somebody wanna buy it and you sell it. It's the simplest thing in the universe.
But
That's my experience.
yeah, but who's hot today in the art world? Who's a hot property?
Oh, there's a lot of people. I met my favorite artist the other day in person. His name is Leonardo Drew. He's a sculptor. He's about my age. I met him in person. I told him that I was following him since my days in Brazil. And I still love his work. I found it fascinating. So we have a big talk, big laugh about this and that. And then he gave me a book. He gave me a big book of his work. And because I asked him if I can visit his studio. And then he said, I never know when I'm going to be at the studio, so I'm going to give you something. So he walked away, he came back with a book. He went to the office of the gallery and he came back with a book, and he made me a happy cat. So this guy have a recognition, he's international, and many others. Like I said before, anybody who wind up in a gallery get some sort. I know that it's kind of, at this point in my life, it's kind of an obsession more than a need. I don't really need recognition. I can keep making art for the rest of my life and give a shit about recognition. But
so the making of the art is the obsession rather than the obsessed to be recognized.
It's about the hunting for something. I think we are hunters. Humans are hunters. They need to get things. They need to find themselves going after something. And once they get it, it doesn't matter anymore. Or it matters a little bit, but doesn't matter so much as when you were hunting for that.
And you're still hunting?
I think I'm hunting for recognition. And
you are?
I'm gonna take it for granted, probably. So my art gonna get better or worse if I get the recognition that I'm looking for, or if my work gets featured in the main page of Vogue magazine or the New York Times. I'm gonna be happy, of course, but I don't think I'm gonna be better artist or worse. Essentially, it won't do anything. But I'm sure a lot of people are gonna wanna be my friend or gonna get close. I'm sure of that, and I'm sure it's gonna be fun. You know,
you'll have one really good party, and then it'll all be downhill.
Right. And the next day, nobody gonna remember.
Nobody of any worth is gonna come.
Right. But it's gonna be worth it. Have a good party.
You'll have that one good party.
Right.
The night that the morning the New York Times comes out or whatever.
Right. I think it will be fun if I get more recognition or
or what if Cardi B bought one of your sculptures? Would that be recognition? Some kind of Hollywood pop star? If some famous person bought one of your works, would that be recognition? Would you define that as recognition?
Well, imagine that I don't know, I'm having a little show in the Lower East Side, and then Meg Ryan walk in and she fall in love with one of my pieces and she buy it.
That's true. That's true.
Now, one thing is Meg Ryan. Other thing is if Tilda Swinton walk in, and I think you know what I mean. I think the latitude, the magnitude of the star is what matters here.
Okay.
When you start to sell one of your pieces to Jim Jarmusch,
right,
or to David Lynch,
and to who? Or to who?
David Lynch.
Oh yeah.
Or to, I don't know, some other minor, I don't know. I would like to sell the piece to people I admire, even if I'm gonna get less money. It's not about, that's a case that it's not about the money, it's about the situation, the experience.
Yeah.
Maybe even if I get much more money by selling to somebody, an unknown collector, that if I sell a piece to Christopher Walken is an art collector.
He is?
He collects art.
Yeah.
And he's an interesting fella. So I guess I'm going to have a better experience, even if I don't get the same amount of money.
Right.
But again, this is for sure not about the money. It's about experience.
Yeah, and it's about how much you respect the person or the artist, the buyer, and how much you respect their taste and their intelligence and their being able to appreciate the work. You might feel it's a deeper appreciation or more rich appreciation than someone who might be buying something of yours for a greater price but not have much understanding about what your work means.
Right. Last spring, I sold a piece to a collector. I know this guy for years. Early spring. Believe it or not, well, the guy paid me, and believe it or not, he didn't come to pick up the piece yet. How many months went by?
How many? I don't know. 12?
And I called him 3 times. Or I'm not calling anymore. I offer, I take the piece to your place. No, please. I want to go have a drink with you, visit your studio. Please give me time. I'm gonna pick it up.
That's totally that's conceptual art, man. You just sold him a conceptual art piece where he bought it, but he never received the actual. I bought the idea of buying from a Damien, not the actual work.
And pick it up.
That's kind of cool, in a weird way, or at least that I would think that he bought the concept of buying art from you rather than the actual piece. I don't know.
But anyway, I think the bottom line of these panic attacks or orientations, how the nightmarish experiences. I think the bottom line is this anxiety for recognition. Believe it or not, I come to realize that after several sessions with my therapist and years of observing what happened, in what situation this happened, I think it's about that. One of the first panic attacks I ever had was at Kim's.
Video? Kim's video?
Kim's video on record shop when they were in
St. Mark's
place.
Yeah.
I was looking at electronic music CDs, and I saw a lot of people that I don't know, like wonderful art covers, and I get in panic and I start feeling weird. I start feeling empty, weightless, desperate, and I ran away from the store. And I called a friend and I told him, look, something weird is happening. It's like somebody stole my soul or something. I feel weightless. And the guy asked me, did you eat today? I said, yeah, it's just weird. I was in the record shop and so wait for me, I'm gonna pick you up. So he came after half an hour. He came from Brooklyn, good friend. And we spent the afternoon together and I was talking my ass off with him. That's something that felt my fear. And I told him out of the blue, I think this has happened to me is because I feel like I'm nobody. Like I saw so many artists, so many recording artists. And I said, what about me? What am I? Why I'm not here in this crate with the other CDs? And I couldn't. I think it's an attack of ego. It's my ego that is pushing me.
Yeah, the ego recognizes that it really doesn't exist and it gets frightened.
Right.
Because I think because you even told me when we met at your house, you told me that the ego doesn't exist and that we really are kind of nothing at the deepest level. And I think you were talking about Gurdjieff at that point and saying that he doesn't believe that there's a soul, that you have to build your soul. And the thing is that you've chosen to have this illusion of who you are based on the story of you as an artist. And when that story breaks down, the ego starts to realize that it doesn't exist and that it's actually nothing. And that's a very terrifying place to be. And you have to fill it with something else. You either have to reconstruct that old idea of who I am and why I'm worthwhile and why I'm not nothing, or you sit with the nothing and kind of like, and work with that fear, which is basically where that's a spiritual state, that state of fear or love. And that's at the base of everything. And you have to, if you want to, get to a point where you can love the nothing, and you can love I'll talk about myself, that I don't actually exist. I can put in love rather than fear. The fact that I'm going to die, the fact that I don't know if I'm going to be diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, I don't know. And that I treat the fear with love. But a lot of times as an artist, you want to like keep all that invested on that idea of being an artist, because if you give up that idea, maybe you won't work so hard, or maybe you won't, I don't know, but I think you can do both. Does this make any sense to you?
Absolutely. I think the ego has a big place.
Ego.
We need an ego to balance the composition of our persona.
Right. And the ego is the story we tell about ourselves, the story we tell ourselves about who we are, to escape the fact that we're actually nothing in a weird way.
Right.
Right.
Yes, it makes sense. So
or that nothing is the state of not knowing who I am. I'm not necessarily nothing. I don't know who I am. And maybe there is no I at the center of things. And there's a lot of fear there.
Well, we have the ability of constructing this sense of I or me or
in the story,
permanently every day. Even if we are depressed, we don't want to do anything. That's part of the construction.
Yeah, it's part of the story we tell ourselves. And
we're gonna remember that moment that we didn't do shit and we felt bad and lazy as part of the whole structure. So it makes sense too.
Yeah.
No, the ego is something marvelous. I think it's incredible because it has no substance of itself. However, it has so much weight.
And it's a survival mechanism, both because we have physical survival needs, but we also have psychological survival needs in order to sort of ward off the chaos of the world and the nothingness of the world. And it's like, and the thing is that we don't want the story we tell ourselves, the ego, to backfire and be our enemy. It's got, we got to work with it, I guess, and see it as but I think, the fact that a few hour or so later you're able to laugh at that state you are in is a spiritual impulse, meaning it's a response to the fear, which is of laughter, which is that you're safe, is that it's more in the key of love rather than fear.
Home. Laughter is home.
Yeah.
I always think if I manage to make it to next Wednesday to therapy, I know I'm gonna have a big laugh and you're gonna be fine. And then I can handle another week.
Have you ever read Liber Null and Psychonaut by Peter J. Carroll? Have you ever read that Chaos Magic book? Because it talks about laughter being like everything in the world having an opposite, love and hate, and
I didn't read it.
And that he said there's no opposite to laughter, that laughter is the only sort of singular thing. Peter J. Carroll, it's a book on chaos magic. He was one of the originators of chaos magic in the late 70s with Ray Sherwin. It's called Liber Null is one of the books, and Psychonaut is another, and they're both bound in one volume. But it's interesting how he considers laughter being, I don't know. I already explained it, but yeah. But like laughter, love, because it's preferable to anger and resentments,
Right.
unless especially if we're at peace. If I'm at war, I might need my anger and resentments. I might need to demonize the other in order to fight for survival, for physical survival. But the fact that I live in a peaceful environment, I don't need anger. I don't need
Right.
I don't need having to demonize the other in order to get myself worked up to defend myself or my family or whatever.
Right.
So it's really a matter of what's useful for me in a peaceful, relatively peaceful environment that I'm in, that I don't need excessive responses to fear, like anger and resentments, and demonizing another. I can safely do it within the context of art, but in my own life, it's best
Right.
to keep those responses to fear that are more destructive and harmful at bay. Does that make any sense?
Yes. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, one of the reasons why I probably didn't make it yet is because I made too many enemies in the
Oh,
people that probably could help, but for some strange reason, we started as friends, and then things were weird. Without explanation, we turned into two alienated strangers.
wow. Okay.
People, not powerful people, but people
Right.
that have certain connections. But then the shame of thinking, wow, if I were a friend of, he knows other people that can help. And I don't want to even think in those terms. I don't want to think in that kind of terms of the convenience of being friend of somebody because he has contacts. I hate that. I would like to have friends with contact, but not because they have contacts. Because we can be friends, we have good feelings for each other.
Yeah, because I do think,
not because they're jealous of my talents or they think that I'm mediocre, but they like my personality or whatever. It's not even about that. It's about spontaneity and innocence. I think we need a good amount of innocence to have good friends and just to enjoy other people's presence in your life.
yeah, I do remember that Marcus Stabi said that the secret to success in the art world is making friends with other artists, because and being on good terms with them, because if a gallery owner is visiting a artist friend's studio, that artist friend might say, oh, visit this other person, visit your studio, and they recommend each other. But I also think it has to do with the environment. As probably during the 60s, when there was the Vietnam War, it was probably very galvanized as far as like which side you were on. I mean, and if you had long hair, that it sort of signaled that you were which side you were on, and that you'd probably help a colleague who was sort of fighting the same battle. But as the battle gets, the objective gets more amorphous, individuals start. I never found people in New York to be supportive, and the university I went to wasn't really supportive. And I mean, I did find my friends were, but I just found that for the most part, for me to make something that I thought was any good, I really had to get insular. I really had to shut myself out from other people and other ideas, and really just focus on what was obsessing me.
Right.
And when I was, I only feel like now that I know what my voice is, and I know what I can do, and I know where my inclinations are, that I feel more secure, like to reach out to others, and more on other artists on a friend basis, and be okay with and not be threatened or like be okay, like, oh, if they're inspired by something I do, or I'm inspired by something they do. I don't know how I guess even in the 50s, I guess I don't know how contentious or friendly artist to artist were during certain times. I mean, they would have fist fights, right? Like Jackson Pollock or whatever, and the abstract expressionists would be at the Cedar Bar or whatever, getting drunk and having fist fights over, art. And and Julian Schnabel started to do that too. I think he had a fist fight or whatever, but it was almost, and maybe, as artists get older and sort of like everybody gets sort of defined, they can be friendly now, but I don't know if there really is goodwill between artists, and maybe there are and maybe there aren't. I don't know.
It's hard to be friends with somebody that don't support your work or don't really.
Is that what happened with these people? Is that what happened with these individuals, other artists, and you were friends and then they fell off? Was there a general?
4 people around that it happened that they have something in common. I think they have some sort of financial status in common. So I like to think that they're classist, that maybe they don't like me because I'm not at the same financial level. And then I thought that maybe they don't like me because I'm not American, I'm foreign, and I have crazy ideas. And I don't even represent another country, so they don't really know how to deal with me. Or
they don't know how to define you. They don't know how to define you, or
in their heads, maybe they don't know how to handle me. I'm like a casserole without handles that is hot, and you don't know how to pick it up.
You're like a what was that? A casserole?
Like a cauldron or a casserole that is hot, but it has no handle.
Casserole, that's hot. Yeah, you don't know, no handles. Okay.
That's the first thing. But it's a matter of identification. One of the guys told me, look, you don't have kids, and we are homeowners and we have kids. And I said, well, I have a mortgage, so what, you want me to adopt a kid too so we can be friends? Are you fucking crazy? So I thought I was in Larry David world, and I said, I can't be friends with this guy. What the fuck is wrong with him? And he's some guy that my wife knows from her youth.
And he's an artist? I thought we were talking about artist to artist.
Right, yeah, he's a drummer. I don't think we appreciate each other's styles or abilities anymore.
So this is this artist to artist, or is this just you getting along with anybody?
I get along with strangers very well.
Okay.
I mean, how long I know you, for instance, over 10 years, and how long it took to have this pleasant confidence, and look, I'm telling you very intimate shit.
Well, I've changed too. I've made a concerted effort to come out of hiding and to find the others, as Timothy Leary said. He said, okay, after you what, I can't remember the order, but tune in, turn on, drop out. And then he said, what do you do next? And he said, find the others. And I had sort of that experience where I got more confidence in who I was. So I was more confident to be among others and not have the risk of losing myself within a group, because I was always afraid of like losing my identity within a group, because I wanted to make everybody happy over me getting, trying to find a crystallization of an obsession. So there was a point where I was like, okay, I know who you are, Carrie, and now I actually want to like interface with other people and broaden. So that was, and I actually think doing things on Zoom makes it easier to do that. And
Oh, I think it is easier in a
yeah.
way. Or maybe it seems easier because it's something relatively new and it's kind of exciting.
Well, I'm lazy. I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to get on the subway.
Right.
I find it oppressive being on the subway with all these people and stuff because I'm like overly sensitive.
Yeah, I agree. No, but you asked me if I don't have this problem with everybody. I usually, people like me and I like people. I like the concept of people. No, I have this issue with these 3 or 4 guys, and after a few years of doing stuff or trying to do stuff.
Right. Well, I've had the
And
same experience. I've had like, people that I've met and we've had a great time. And I said, I want more of this and I want to sort of capitalize on this. And I think I'm getting something from this. And I assume they're getting an equal inspiration from me. And the friendship sort of drops off and I kind of wonder what happened. And
yeah, that's exactly what happened.
even like, and I don't know if it's like, even with like romance, it's like, oh, the more you like someone, the more they don't like you, or I don't, but it's happened to me too. And I don't know if they're where I was, where I wanted to isolate and just keep my own obsessions to myself. And I wasn't ready to get close with other people or what's going on. But yeah, it's happened to me several times, and I I withdraw, and then sometimes sometimes I give up and I withdraw and I said, okay, I'm going to retreat. And sometimes those things that I was searching for and then I couldn't find, and then I gave up and retreated. Sometimes they come, like the universe doesn't like a vacuum. I've had that experience too. But then there's another break, but I'm never able to sort of capitalize. I used to be a person who'd have one friend, and just it'd be a really intense friendship with that one person. Now I'm trying to diversify, but I still have that impulse that I'd like to have these intense conversations or something with one person.
Yeah, it's a good need to have.
Because I think you can get to you can actually get somewhere, and that it's less. And I have a hard time. I have a hard time with, what is it called, small talk. Talking about the weather and stuff.
It's very unfulfilling.
What? It's unfulfilling. Yeah, and it's just like, because I'm like, and I just like, I'm like, I'm here, right? And I can't die. I can't kill myself. I can't go to a doctor and say, get me out of here. So I've got to find some reason why I should be here. And like being like, there's got to be a reason why I'm here, and if I feel like there's no difference if I was dead or not, then it upsets me. Then I feel like I'd rather be dead if there's no real reason for me to be here. I mean, I guess most people like have children and go like, okay, there's somebody who, like, even if your child hates you, they love you in a way that they can't help, because it's like, even though my mother was horrible, like I couldn't help her being a huge influence in my life. So it's like, that's what happens with like, I think children, like even if they hate their parents, there's still this great passion, even if it's a negative passion, and they can't just sort of dismiss them. So I think and I think that's primarily, like DNA wise, like why we're here. We're supposed to procreate or whatever. But I don't like that savage, like low level existence. I'm like, I want to feel that life can be heightened by ideas, or that somehow we're transcending this sort of like meat puppets existence, or that we're just dumb flesh with a ridiculous brain. Okay, I got to stop talking. I want you to talk.
No, we have to. You want to do the interview that we're supposed to do?
We're doing it. Okay, so your name is Damien Olsen.
Is it?
And you said you were 60. And where were you born?
I was born in the city of Buenos Aires.
Okay.
And
what was your first childhood memory?
A dinner table with some people. There was a skinny black guy with white hair and a fishbowl on top of his head with a goldfish. That's the very first memory. I think I was about 3.5 years old.
And did it really come true, or was it a dream?
Well, no, it's true. The black guy was my grandfather. He wasn't really black. He was very dark and skinny Russian guy with white hair. In my perception, I translate the guy as black. Maybe I also heard that he was born in Morocco.
Was he an artist?
No, he wasn't an artist. He was, I don't know what he used to do, except that he was framing pictures for a while. He put together a framing shop, and he was framing photos and paintings.
So what was your childhood like? You said your father was very, very unpredictable and scary.
He was like sort of a cop.
Like, in mentality, but not in profession. What did he do as a profession?
He was an accountant.
Huh.
He was an accountant, and then he got into the wood business. He had a lumber yard. He used to buy and sell wood, importing wood and selling. So I learned something about wood. I didn't really learn anything about wood, but I used to go around and get familiar with wood. I guess that's why I became a sculptor. I started working with wood very young. Like when I was 5 or 6, I was carving wood and doing stuff.
What was your mother like?
Mother?
Yeah.
Neurasthenic, I would say.
What's that?
Neurasthenic. You know that term?
No.
Neurasthenia, hysteria, neurasthenia. She was bipolar, not diagnostic bipolar, but she got all the symptoms of bipolar. One minute was touching the heaven with her hands, and the next minute she was crying and hating everything and slamming doors and going back to sleep, even if it was in the middle of the day.
My mother was like that. Do you had any other siblings, any brothers and sisters?
I had a sister.
Older or younger?
Younger, several years younger. She was in complicity with my parents, so I didn't have any allies in the house.
Were you a planned child, or were you a surprise? Or
maybe both.
Both?
Maybe both. Maybe they. Yeah, that's a good question.
How many years older was, or younger? Was your sister older?
She was younger.
Younger. Oh, I think I got it wrong.
6 or 7 years younger.
I got it mixed up. Yeah, I'm getting old and stupid. So she was younger. So you were the first child, and 6 years younger. 6 years later, you had a sister.
Right.
Okay.
I think.
Was she a surprise?
No, she was planned.
Okay.
She was totally planned. I don't think I was totally planned. I think it just happened. My mother, I remember saying many times that she wished that I did die during the giving birth, when she was giving birth. I mean, she hated herself, and by extension, she hated me.
Right. Was she an alcoholic, or were there substances in abuse in your house?
No, I think she didn't handle well Valium and things like that from those days.
Didn't handle, Valium?
That explained the up and downs. Yeah, she used to have to take Valium to get out.
What about your father? Was he any substances or alcohol?
No, they weren't heavy drinkers. There was some whiskey in the house, but never a big. I think I used to consume more than them at some point.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't consider myself an alcoholic.
So they were more like on the mental illness spectrum. What was school like for you? Yeah. What was school like for you? What?
I think they turned just crazy.
Yeah.
And abusive and hitting. Yeah.
Psychological and physical abuse?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of that. Lack of support, lack of trust.
Yeah. What was school like?
Horrible.
School
was horrible.
How come? And for how long?
Well, elementary school was a nightmare. It was a dark place. Something pretty much like whatever you see in the movie, The Wall.
The Wall.
Yeah. Like
okay.
Crazy, aggressive teachers.
Yeah.
It was horrible. The only good thing about school is that I used to go and sell my creations to the other kids. I used to sell paintings, drawings to the other kids. And if they didn't have money, I used to take things of value like books or watches, or toys, cars, collective cars. Whatever I could keep under interest or resell it, I used to trade for my stuff. Then once I realized, wow, I can sell my paintings and drawings. I have a profession already. I'm a professional. I started thinking in those terms.
How old were you at that time?
7, 9, 10. And then I had crisis of existential crisis. Like I have these things I have now, but didn't last so long or so intense. So I had those crises. I was totally afraid of my parents and teachers and the police in the street. Remember, I was living in a dictatorship, so it was very dangerous. However, the city was very cultural. There were any sort of cinematheques, libraries, places of culture.
What year was this?
Oh, the late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
So
in Buenos Aires, no?
The police have a big war because they have to crush on any sort of
resistance,
cultural establishment and check out for books, what people are reading, what people are doing, how many communists, if there's any communists in the group, or they have socialist ideas. It was really insane, very dangerous. And I used to have I remember I had a group of communist friends. I wasn't a communist, but I had communist friends. And I think they were idiots. I mean, I didn't believe anything because they were like from good families, like 2 cars, a house in the beach, house in the city. They have money, they have good education, but they have these crazy communist ideas. And they want the system to change. I say, what do you want to change the system for? The system is perfect. Well, we have to get rid of the military.
It's benefiting them, you mean? The system is certainly benefiting them, no?
The system, right. They were driving around their cars and going to parties. And
do you think it was just their guilt? They felt guilty for doing well?
I think they were just snobs, that they want some more intellectual stimulation and some emotions. Like living in danger is an interesting.
Okay, so they were just kind of bored, and they found communist ideas exciting.
They were all spoiled kids.
Huh. Okay.
Money. And my parents didn't have money, but my grandparents did. So I lived the two worlds at the same time.
And were your grandparents more like level-headed and sane? Were they your refuge, or were they crazy too?
My grandparents were cool, were beatniks.
Were beatniks?
Beatniks, they had that mentality. They were well read. They know a couple of languages. I mean, they were
cultured
born in Russia, Poland, so they know, they speak 3 or 4 languages.
Huh.
They sent me to study other languages. They took me to museums, to art galleries, to see dance.
So that was your refuge. Your grandparents were sort of like your oasis.
Right. My grandparents, my parents were like totally lost. They didn't know what to do with me.
Right.
That's why I think that I wasn't a desired child. I think I just show up and they say, well, we're going to have a child at some point, so let's have it now.
Right. I think my parents were the same way. They were older and everybody, they were sort of like, well, I guess we got to do this because time's running out. And I had a family that was more, I mean, I had a family about 60 miles away that I would visit on the weekends, and that was my refuge, and that kept me sane and kept me away from like the family of origin, you know, was pretty nuts and scary. And like I had this double life, spending time with my friends and their parents who were professors at a university or college. And so that was where I could actually like have a safe place to follow my interests and had support as an artist. So that kept me sane. I mean, I think so I didn't have so drugs and alcohol didn't seem so tempting as a way out or rebellion, criminal, you know, before college, you know, that I think that kept me like from not giving up hope and becoming a complete like nihilist, body, mind, and soul, you know. And I'm hearing at least that your grandparents were sort of like where you could breathe, you know, and feel safe and explore who you were.
Right. Great. They were great people. I own them. I think they kept me alive more than they knew.
You honor them? Is that what you said?
Huh?
You honor them? Is that what you said?
I own them. I own them.
Own them. Okay.
Yeah, they were great people.
You owe them.
I own them.
They
weren't great. Maybe they were normal, and compared to my parents, everybody was great.
I'm sorry. I'm stuck on this word. Owe them as in OWE?
Own. OWN. Own.
OWN. Own them. Okay.
I owe you.
Owe you as in a debt?
Like in debt for them.
What?
In debt.
In depth.
Like there's a debt to the universe.
Yes.
For them. It's like, okay, they did a good job. Even if they didn't, even if it wasn't their intention to. No, I think they saw that I have aptitude and they want me to and I was a favorite grandson. I don't think they were crazy about my sister.
Yeah.
My sister, blonde, blue eyes. I mean, people are racist, naturally.
Naturally,
okay. Blonde, blue eyes, and they melt.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I guess. I mean, that's your experience. I mean, I wouldn't like to make that statement, but certainly a possibility. You know, I mean, that you don't have to be a National Socialist to like. You could be from any walk of life and recognize a blonde-haired, blue-eyed as superior. That's a dangerous thought, but
Well,
I think tribalism like goes deep in our DNA. We come from what we're trying to resist tribalism now. We're trying to have this sense of egalitarianism and not judging people by their group and so forth. But I mean, it's something that's hard to resist, I guess, especially when things are not going well for people or they're really scared. They want a scapegoat, you know. We pick on each other, you know. There's a pecking order, but yeah.
But for more the racist people are in general, they're more classist.
Okay.
So I would say that if you can financially afford your ethnicity, that's good. You have no problem. You are rich. You can be ugly, black, I don't know, Jew, whatever. But if you can afford that with money, you're okay.
I heard that there was, you know, earlier, I don't know, a few years ago in the United States, there was an ugly tax that you could get arrested or be taxed if you weren't pleasant to look at, in the opinion of the culture at that time. I'd heard it. I don't know where from, but I heard that there was like a fine for someone who was ugly. I'll have to Google that. I think it was in Chicago or something. I don't know. I heard it.
From taxes for being ugly, they have to pay a fine for being ugly.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I'd have to. What?
That's not fair.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the point. That
no, but my grandparents were good looking.
They were what? They were good looking. Okay.
They were good looking. My parents were kind of kitsch. My father was, I didn't like my father. I won't describe it, but I didn't like my parents. Visually, ideologically, I didn't like him.
He was abusive, both of them, right?
They were abusive and evil. So,
okay.
I don't like him.
I think evil covers it, so we can.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, other questions?
Well, do you think that abuse led you to this idea that, I don't know, I think it helped me realize the chaos at the center of things. I think that's why I'm drawn to, and I think what drew me to existentialism and so forth. So, okay, so in school, well, did you go, after you went to sort of primary school or high school, did you go to college or university?
Yes, I took psychology.
Where?
In Buenos Aires in the late 70s. And then at the end of the 70s, I left the country for good. I moved to Brazil, and I live in Brazil from then on. And then I went back to study psychology, but I realized that I didn't want it to be a therapist. So I studied.
You didn't want to be a therapist. Yeah, okay.
Right. I studied psychology because I found the topic fascinating. I like to read texts. I like to read Freud, Lacan, Jung, Fromm. I still like it. I enjoy reading. I use it probably as an inspiration for art.
What about Eric Fromm? The Art of Loving is my favorite Eric Fromm.
Oh yeah.
Book. We had our high school English. Yeah. So what about your romantic life in growing up before university? What was that like? Or your friendship life? Were you a loner? Did you have a lot of friends, or, you know?
I had a one friend for a long time that he was rich.
Okay.
So, and he used to bring that detail to the front all the time. That he was rich, but he was very useful for me to be his friend. He wasn't generous. It's not because he was rich he was sharing stuff. Au contraire, he was an asshole. But I think I felt attracted physically to him.
Okay.
I think I like him and I wanted to be like him. He wasn't very different than me, but he was a little taller. And
Was he a bit of a work? Was he like? Did you feel attracted to him as a work of art, or romantically, or
No,
both?
not romantically.
Okay,
Visually,
visually,
I found him visually attractive. I like to study his movements.
like a work of art. No,
I would say
maybe.
more like a person, but yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
more like a person. Okay.
I used to check his clothes. I like the way he dressed. I didn't like the way he talked. But we used to talk a lot, and we used to have lapses of laughter, like laughing like drunkards about whatever was going on.
So, did you not like the way he talked as far as accent or what he said?
He has
Content.
this Jewish accent.
There's what accent?
Jewish. I'm Jewish too, but I didn't have such a Jewish thing. Now I want to have it.
Okay.
That's another thing to talk
All
later. I didn't. So there was something of hate and love with this guy, but we were very together.
For how long? Like how old to how old?
We met in a vacation camp around the age of 5 or 6.
Okay.
And we were friends until I left.
Which was how old?
I left the country when I was 19.
19, okay.
So we were friends for a while, and he introduced me to a lot of progressive bands. Like he introduced me to Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Gentle Giant.
My favorite's King Crimson.
Renaissance, King Crimson. I wind up being a progressive rock freak thanks to him. And then I heard that he started with jazz, and he became a saxophone player, but not a creative. I think he was a session musician. He was once I Googled him, and once I remember he told me that he was related to Gene Wilder, the actor. That Gene Wilder was
Gene Wilder. Oh yeah.
The Young Frankenstein,
right?
Or Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
That told me that he was related to his father. He was a first cousin. And
do you think it's true or what?
Yeah. They look physically. They have things in common.
Well, maybe that's why he chose it. But okay.
Yeah, maybe. But
because he thought the lie would actually be believable if he looked a little bit like him. But yeah, keep going.
Could be, but then he told me that in school they and it's true that they told him that he looks like Paul Michael Gleiser, like Starsky.
Yeah,
it's true. He got that Jewish dynamic guy that is. He could be even sexy. I mean, I found the guy sexy, but I always thought that he didn't like me. That it wasn't something gay. It was something beyond gay. Like you don't care anymore if it's about the flesh or ideological or something. I didn't like his smell. He smelled like a filter fish most of the time. I swear.
All right.
I like a filter fish, but I don't like a guy that smells like a filter fish. In a woman, it's different. I don't know why. It could be maybe because I relate women with the ocean. I don't know.
There's no easy answers here.
Right.
All right. So we've got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
So at university, you thought you were going to become a therapist and you were studying psychology, and then you decided not to. Where did you go from there?
I went to dance school. So I trained dance for a long time.
Where?
In Brazil, and then I took some classes before when I was in university studying psychology. I took a lot of classes. I became I think I became an instant dancer. I found that I have this flexibility naturally.
Did you always like to dance, or were you always physical? Did you do sports or anything like that?
I like I like everything else. I like avant-garde dance. I like
Yeah.
Susan. I like Pina Bausch, and I used to watch the ballet but I said I like ballet, but it's kind of boring.
When did you actually start to get physical, that you actually danced yourself? What age?
Between 17, 16,
And
20.
in what, where was this, at school dances or at nightclubs?
After my father died, I became very physical.
As far as, and it was expressed through dance or other things?
Other things, like any sort of things, physical.
How old were you when your father died?
I was 16.
And was this a sense of freedom, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that this burden was suddenly lifted?
Yeah.
Did you pray for your father to die, in the old days? I mean, before he was dead?
I didn't pray, but
well, just wish.
I never imagined that he gonna die.
Okay. So when he did die, you didn't feel like, oh, my magic worked, or
he could have killed me several times. He was
okay.
He was very brutal.
Yeah.
And he was a big guy, and I was a small child. So
did you go to the funeral?
Yeah, I didn't have any other option. I had to go.
Yeah. I didn't go to my mother's funeral. I had an option, and I didn't go. Yeah, but yeah, I remember one Mother's Day, 5 years ago or whatever. I put on Facebook, "Happy Mother's Day. Thanks for not killing me. R.I.P." But I've sort of made up with her memory, at least, because it helps me to at least clear that channel and not have that.
When I was 3,
yeah.
3 years old, my mother grabbed my head and smashed it against the wall. I was crying for some reason.
Yeah.
I was a baby, 3 years old. I don't know. You're
supposed to cry. Yeah.
And she lost her shit, and she grabbed my curls and she smashed it against the wall. And
yeah.
I think I still feel the impact of that. Imagine the world stopped that day. The
betrayal rather than the physical pain, right?
I became a little subnormal after that.
As far as physical,
probably she. I mean, I realized I have a very hard head too, but
isn't what really lasts the betrayal and the sense of that I'm not safe in the world, that even my parents could turn against me. It works on the primal trust. I think we talked about that before, maybe.
Yeah,
which I think is a spiritual space, but yeah, I can, but at a certain point, I have to release myself from that and see that there's a greater creator that both created my parents and me. I might not know the nature of it, but in order to, if I engage and interface with that great creator, that these human creators and earthly creators of my mother and father who are past now lose their power in my life, as I forgive them for whatever they've done, and reconnect with sort of, the greater creator. Meaning, but
difficult task.
It is, yeah. No,
but we're working on it.
You have to be, yeah, exactly.
I guess therapy is trying to get over.
So what are you doing now? We've only got, unless you want to go for 2 hours.
How much longer we have?
We have about 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
For an hour, for an hour and a half.
Yeah, sure. 15 more minutes.
Okay.
We can talk for 15 more minutes.
What would you like to say?
With the list of questions is over. You finish, or you didn't have a list of questions?
Well, my question now is, as the interview stands, do you feel like you'd like to post it or not?
To make it public?
Yes. Or do you want to think about it?
Honestly, I don't care.
You don't care?
I think these kind of stories maybe sounds interesting to ourselves because it's our own story, and you have something similar. So I guess we are excited that we found each other's stories in common. But I think people don't give a shit about what other people went through unless we
Well,
are famous.
I don't care what other people.
Right.
I care about you and whether you're comfortable with
Right.
me posting it. And you know, if nobody watches it, then so be it. You know.
I think the only thing here that could make me uncomfortable of going public is my voice. I have something about my voice that I don't agree with my voice. I think I deserve a better voice. So I think I have a voice that.
Well, I can change the voice of both of us. I can't, it's too much of it. I could change the voice of both of us so we sound like, you know, Alvin and the Chipmunks, if you'd prefer that.
I asked Pepper with this movie. He turned me into the architect of the universe. I told him, please, can you double my voice and put somebody else to say what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I said, no, because I love your voice. I love the way you talk. I love your accent. I said, do you really? Yeah, of course.
All right. So I'm gonna say it's a yes. You're gonna be comfortable with me posting this. So what's going on? What's going on? You came to New York at what moment? How old were you when you came to New York?
I was 38.
And why did you come to New York City?
Because I wanted to.
What did you think of New York City before you got here? What were your impressions of it?
Downtownism, beatniks, Empire State Building, Jackson Pollock, Rothko, you know, the abstract expressionists, Oliver Nelson, Woody Allen, Paul Bowles, William Burroughs, of course. Even he didn't spend a lot of time in New York. Well, he did. You know, downtownism mostly. Actually, I came to New York, not to America, but now New York is part of America.
So can you define downtownism?
Downtownism is hard to define in a few words. I think it's I can define it in terms of in biological terms. In terms of biology, it's like a fungus. It's something that some sort of bacteria that show up magically, they flourish. It still have the effect. I think it disappeared. I don't think there's more downtownism at all.
Anywhere?
I think there's some spirit of that, some remains.
But not local as far as like a certain geography. It's more.
Right. Mm-hmm. There's some people alive that came from that period, like Schnabel or some people I know that they were around. Well, you are a survivor from those days. You witnessed downtownism a lot in life. Like you were part of that.
I guess I was a witness to some of it.
If Basquiat were alive, he would be your age or mine. He was 1960. He was born in 1960. He will be 61 years old. Yeah. I'm sure he would be the same individual. Warhol will be near 90 probably. I don't know. I think it's a generation of artists, very, very influential.
So you let me so you don't think it exists now in New York? You think New York has become America and it's lost its identity?
An American city, sophisticated and pretentious, but no, it's not quite. it's not quite the same at all. No, not even Bushwick. Bushwick is not downtown, and it has nothing to do with downtown. I think Bushwick is a big. There's a word in Yiddish to define Bushwick. Schmata. Bushwick is a big.
Okay.
I went to the Open Studios last week in Bushwick. Totally deceptive.
Deceptive.
Terrible.
Okay.
Yeah,
terrible.
very terribly organized. The art. I saw some good stuff, but I don't know. I feel totally unfulfilled. And I was thinking, this is a big schmack. This is not. I mean, Soho compared to Bushwick was Florence, the Florence of Leonardo. I mean, it's a big difference between Soho in the 80s and Bushwick 2020. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, I believe in Chelsea. I like Chelsea. I feel there's some spirit going on there. There's something going on. There's a lot of money, that's for sure. There's good art in Chelsea, and I just feel comfortable there. And I like this neighborhood, but this neighborhood is artistically dead. When I moved here, it was great. It was big fun.
What year was that?
2003.
Yeah.
And,
well, for me,
I live in downtown before. I live in the Lower East Side for near 2 years. It was fun. Yeah, I think I catch the tail of that dragon of downtown when I moved here. I moved here too late. I'm really sorry about that. I think I should come here earlier in the 80s, probably.
Yeah.
I went to Brazil because I need nature. I need to, I feel attracted to this African thing in the north of Brazil. I think that African thing has a lot to do with my art and music. But I deeply regret not coming to New York early. I think I missed the best of what happened here.
And what would be the ideal date? What would be the ideal date of you arriving in New York?
Probably 79. When I moved to Brazil, 79, 1980.
Okay.
But it's an illusion. I don't think it's regret. It's something I should experience. It's just a pity it didn't happen. But
yeah,
I'm here.
I've never felt part of a movement or even part of a culture. I've very much been in my own head, and I just submitted a film of mine called Cosmetic Consciousness to underground film festivals, and I have no idea what the underground film festivals are showing these days, but I would suspect it's still two people in a room talking. And there's so much media about like how to script write and how to write a Hollywood movie, or even if it's an independent Hollywood movie. And I just feel like, to my mind, it's been played out. I feel that, and the film that I made was a lot of, I just feel like the underground and the avant-garde should be in the mainstream by now. I mean, I think that the Diving Bell brought a bit of brackage to mainstream cinema, and maybe even the Van Gogh film by Schnabel brought in some sort of expressionism to film. And maybe but I still feel like we're just filming plays, and maybe it's just because I'm old and I'm like, I've seen enough great narrative films, and I'd rather see effed up dreams. I really want to take what's happening on YouTube and how everyone's algorithm is shaping them, and I think we should take YouTube out of the internet and put it onto the screen and into the theater. And I think we should all talk about what this is. And I think that people are just in their computer caves. And I think I think more people should be reflecting what their cage and their prison is reflecting back at them. And I want to see what your prison looks like. I don't want to see you make another Cuckoo's Nest, even though I love Cuckoo's Nest. I don't want to see another Dog Day Afternoon, even though I love Dog Day Afternoon. I want to see what's happening to you now with TikTok, with Instagram. And I want people to make a film of this weird interface with this fake world of the internet. And I want them to get out of that insanity and out of their bubble and show me what nightmare is being fed to them through, because I think these things need to be examined. Like, it needs to be taken out of the craziness of the context of the internet and should be parsed out on a lab floor, like or platform, like a forensic scientist, and say, like, what is going on here? But I don't know. That's just what I'm interested in, what I did with the last couple of films. But I have a very, I doubt very much that they'll be accepted by these film festivals, because I'm sure they're looking for the two people in a room talking films, and I'm like,
right. What you gonna show on Film Noir on the
October 9th? I'm gonna
October
show
9th.
Corpus Chaosum.
Oh,
Yeah. And Robert's gonna show The Great Work in 33 Steps.
right.
And I'm going to show a short of mine, Blood and Fire, in the beginning. So I'd actually like to show more of my features that I made in like 2020 at Film Noir. I want to find another filmmaker to either show a short with my film. I don't want it to be all about me, you know. But that's my hope after we show on October 9th, 2021. I want to show more stuff at that theater, just to sort of take it out of me and a screen, you know, and make it more communal and actually be able to discuss the film and make it, or have a Q&A and have people, because I don't know, in order for me to make more work, I have to have at least a little bit of feedback from other people, or even if it's just an imagined audience, like me sending these films out, that probably won't get accepted. Maybe someone with half a brain might watch it and say, this is too radical for us to show, but this person's doing something interesting. That's enough for me. Like, or this, you know, I mean, I'm not interested in making trouble. I mean, I think it comes from a good place. You know, I'm not interested in stirring shit, but I'm interested in raising questions that are challenging. And because it's the only way for me to like overcome certain prisons of belief and be able to sort of contextualize them and distance them and transcend them and have a wider perspective. Because I think our beliefs do become prisons at a certain point, and you're either comfortable in that prison but I think an artist is forever trying to transcend the certain prison and also just defining what that prison might be and then escaping from it. You know, just because it's a prison doesn't mean it's not a pleasant experience. I'm just saying that it has these limitations. And for us to make physical something that's spiritual and make it specific, it's just like putting a spirit to a word. It's like you're physicalizing something that's like eternal. We're grabbing the ether and defining it, and we can at some point, you know, have the illusion that has deep meaning, and then at a certain point we can realize there's a deeper meaning, and it's only within a context of maybe something greater. That's my speech.
What was the last movie you watched?
Last movie I watched? Last night
or the night before?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I was watching Witchfinder General with Vincent Price about you know, during like hanging and burning witches in England or whatever. But I didn't make it all the way through. And then I tried to watch Witch Finder General.
Oh yeah.
It's I think late 60s, early 70s.
I saw one with Vincent Price that he's burning. They burn it, and I think it's the Palace of the Spirits is called. It's a version of Edgar Allan Poe, but Roger Corman.
Yeah.
And he's burned in outside his house. And then 100 years later, he came back and he took the body of one of his he took somebody's body and he possessed the person, and he started doing exactly the same, practicing witchcraft.
Was it Fall of the House of Usher or
the Palace of the Spirits?
Palace of the Spirits. I've never heard of it.
It's excellent.
It is.
It's very good. It's one of my. I love Roger Corman, and this one is very good. Anyway, that was the last. You didn't watch the whole thing.
No, and I tried to watch Parasite. I couldn't make it through it, but we're out of time.
I went upstairs. I went to bed last night about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I watched the first 20 minutes or half an hour of North by Northwest.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies to go to sleep.
Yeah, I used to go to sleep to Rope.
Oh, wow. I love it. Yeah, that's a cool movie to sleep.
That's a great movie.
It's so amazing.
Yeah, Hitchcock still hits the mark.
Yes.
So we're out of time. Any final words? Yeah, we're out of time.
Well, that was great.
Okay, so you're cool with me posting it?
I feel better than when we started.
That's good.
Under the impact of what I told you.
Right.
So thank you for that. Thanks for doing this.
This is great. And so I'm gonna let it simmer for a couple of days, and then I'll post it, and I'll contact you before I post it, make sure it's all good. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right.
We should go out for dinner sometime.
Definitely. Next weekend.
We can do 2 couples. How about that?
I don't know about that. I can't wrangle my wife. She's got her own life.
Oh.
But next week there's Larry 7 at Blank Forms, if you want to go to that.
In what is that?
I think it's in Manhattan. Where is it? Larry 7 and Blank Forms.
Well, let's see.
Or yeah. So I'm gonna stop the recording.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna.
How do I stop it?